Aloha. Hey, it's Julie Zimlos, 365Y with Real Broker, and we are doing the Happy Holiday Season Update. So this is our island-wide market update for December 2024. And we have our cast of characters minus a few, but we also have a special guest. We actually have a member of the public, the home buying public, on the call today. And she is going to ask us some questions that might be helpful for you guys who might be looking to buy a investment piece of property here on the island. We're going to start this fun jingle bell here with Amber Haley. Amber is from Real Broker. We also have Jana Mahoney from KW, and we also have Eric Seamless from Real Broker. And let's get going. I will also be doing a little bit of a mortgage update for Travis Green, and we'll do a big mortgage blowout in early January, where you're going to get a chance to hear a little bit more about the whole mortgage market update. Amber, are you ready to go with your statistics? Okay, let's hear it. Boom, you're up on the old stage there, buddy. Oops, don't you're muted.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm ready to go over here. And I got some just pulling up some extra stats for everybody too that I honestly can't remember if we covered in our East Hawaii update, but gonna bring you all as much information as I can today.
Okay.
So we will start with the two districts over on the east side. We're going to start with the Hilo district today and give you all of the single family home stats for all the sales that closed the last full month of sales that we had. So that would be the month of November. And we'll jump right into it. So for the South Hilo district, technically, the median price was $555,500. That's a lot of fives there. And that was for 28 single family homes that closed in the month of November, which is more than we saw last month when we did our market update. We talked about the September sales. There were only 21 that closed. So there's a little more market activity. And it was also more than a year ago. So a year ago, November 2023, there were 20 single family homes that sold in Hilo. So a little bit more market activity. Now, this was interesting. The days on market for those properties that sold were 80 days. That was the average days on market. And that's quite a few. That's the longest of almost anywhere on the island for our stats this month. Besides South Kona had one day longer than the South Hilo district. And another kind of interesting stat from Hilo is that the final list of sales price was 91.83%. So all the stuff that closed, that finally sold and closed, those 28 single family homes, again, $555,500 was the median price, and 80 days on market, 91.83% list of sales price. So that median price was up a little bit from the month before, where it was $545,000, and it was also up from a year ago, where it was $487,500. And the biggest difference in stats that we're seeing for Hilo really is the days on market were a lot longer for this month of sales that we had. You compared it to the last market update we had, the average days on market was 36. So we went from 36 to 80. That's quite significant for just 1 month of data. And then a year ago was 57 days on market. And then when we talk about list of sales price, believe it or not, a year ago, the list of sales price in Hilo was 103.92%. So over list price was what most of the homes were selling for. Whereas now, again, we're 91.83%. Last month when we had this update, we were at 95%. So kind of interesting stats for the Hilo district over here. And for everybody who was buying single family homes a little bit out on what people like to refer to sometimes as the suburbs, maybe, of Hilo, but the Puna district, so a little farther south. We will jump into those because that's where most of our transactions, single family homes, take place, over on the east side of the Big Island. Your money goes a little farther, everybody, because there were 66 single family homes that sold in Puna, and the median sales price was $376,000 for all of those single family homes last month. It was a little less sales in the Puna district comparatively to the month before. So that's different than the Hilo district, where it was more sales. There were 73 single family homes that closed in September versus October. If we look back at a year ago, it was exactly 66. So very, very similar. But when we look at what the prices are doing in the Puna district, the median price was a little bit lower than our market update last month. So this month, 376, last month, 391. A year ago, it was 364.5. So we haven't seen, we saw a little bit of a drop but up from a year ago. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in January. Again, there were 66 single family homes that we are focusing on for that data. Days on market was pretty significant too. Not as much as what we saw in Hilo this month, but 72 days on market was the average. That's exactly what we had last month when we had this market update. A year ago, it was on average 56 for all the single family homes closing this time of year.
Can I ask you about that real quick?
Oh, yes.
Do you think that might have had just this time of year, just because we talked about the election and how people were kind of holding out, waiting until after the election. And so those numbers do you think they might reflect the fact that people were kind of holding back and that there'll be kind of a slingshot experience when we see the December, January numbers? Or do you think, what would you think?
Well, so these homes did close in November. So throughout the entire month. So that means
August, September.
That our average escrow, if people don't know who are watching, the average escrow, honestly, that I do is about 45 to 60 days. Some of them, sometimes you can close 30 days, sometimes maybe a little bit less, but 45 days is like pretty average for somebody buying a single family home in the Puna district, financing with a mortgage. So that means that probably the 45 days before, these were people that were actually putting in offers.
Oh, okay. So they were
maybe 6 weeks before, but the homes that closed were on the market for quite a while. So there was probably a bit of a backup of some kind of hesitation there. So I do think we will see maybe that stat though come in. So if we think about people making offers, we won't really see those stats probably till January. Most of the offers that were made and accepted in November. Whether, we see, we'll have to see what it does. If that, it stopped people or is making people, want to pull the trigger on decisions. Or to me, it seems like a lot of people are just kind of like holding off. The biggest hesitation I'm getting from people, well, two things. One, the holidays. Everybody wants to circle back after the holidays. And I'm like, you guys, we can get you. We have so much power right now, buyers, if you want to make an offer this week. But and then the rates. So I get, a lot of people are just like, well, what are the rates going to do? What are the rates going to do? So we'll see. But I am seeing some stats about that are coming out from different nationwide, where people are trying to get a pulse on what buyers and sellers are going to do next year. And I did just see a stat this week saying that about 20% of people who own homes right now are considering putting their house on the market next year. We might that would certainly be interesting. So yeah, we'll have to see. But
okay.
Let's see, where did I leave off on this stat? So you guys got your days on market, 72. Hasn't changed much there. Median price, 376, which was, again, down a little bit from our update before. And then I'll tell you guys a little bit about the most popular neighborhood that I work in on the east side, which is Hawaiian Paradise Park. Because it's in the Puna district and its price points are, generally speaking, a little bit higher than a lot of these other stats that we're seeing averaged in with Puna, because it's in Lava Zone 3, where the real estate's a little more valuable. But there are currently 94 single family homes for sale in Hawaiian Paradise Park. And the median price of the listing, so keep in mind, this is not These are not sold homes. The data I just gave you is homes that sold, what their median price was. But the median price for a single family home in Hawaiian Paradise Park right now on the market is $619,500. There's quite a range. The lowest listing is $269,900, and the highest is just under 1.5 million. So there's something for a lot of different budgets for people who are looking in East Hawaii, looking at potentially a single family home on about an acre of land here. There's something for a lot of different budgets.
Okay.
And I will say I have a lot of buyers like kind of just hesitating right now, and just being in communication with a lot of listing agents and then also representing sellers in this market right now. I will say like sellers are very, very motivated. So it's like they'll almost work with just bring an offer is what they keep saying.
Yeah, just bring an offer.
Yeah.
Anything, let me have it. Okay, cool. Okay, then also just Amber, I don't think I've told you this, but Amber and I did a market update a couple days ago, and I used the Hilo prices are down almost 10%, and we've had over 1,000 views on that so far. So people are looking for a good sale, that's for dang sure. So like Amber was saying that this is a good time to put offers in because people are just like sitting there asking for them. So yeah, so there we go.
Yeah.
No. Okay. So, Jana,
Yes.
you to talk to us. So, what Jana's going to be doing is going to be talking about her area of expertise is Waikoloa Village and Waikoloa. But we also asked her to fill in for Delania by giving some statistics on our three little focus neighborhoods. So, start where you would like, and we'll go from there. And let me put you as a spotlight for everybody. There you go.
All right. So I also wanted to mention that it is typical, regardless of interest rates and elections, for there to be kind of a slowdown over the holidays, and then things pick back up in January, typically in just normal years in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So that's probably a little bit of a factor as well. So we kind of have a trifecta at this point.
Seasonal experience.
Right. So let's start with Waikoloa Village. And active residential, we have 22 right now, which is nice. We've had a lot of time where we had not very many homes for sale, and they median is $1,079,000, but there are a few outliers in there because there's a new development with some new construction, and those are kind of skewing everything a little bit higher. So you've got like a brand new construction that's $2,590,000. That's very, very modern. There's a remodel that's $1,990,000. So you've got the median of $1,079,000 is still a little bit skewed, I would say. Average days on market right now is 99 days.
So you're having a soft market too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Amber saying, oh, yeah, we had 66 listings. It's like, we're very happy up in Waikoloa that we have 22 right now. So that's lovely. For November, there were only four that closed in Waikoloa Village. And again, a couple of factors, the inventory, the interest rates, the time of year, but the median price was $765. Days on market was 73. And this is something that is interesting. The sale to original price was 91.68.
Oh, just like Hilo.
That is a very
10% off housing sale today.
It is. And I think that sometimes when we've had this crazy market where buyers could put any price that they wanted on a house, and you would get multiple offers and things were just bananas. It's hard for buyers to change that mindset and realize that's not what's happening anymore. So they kind of start out high, and then you see some price reductions, over time.
Over 2 months.
Yeah. They realize that's not what's happening anymore. In November of 2023, there were four that sold. So but the price points were higher, $925,000 to $1,050,000, and the median was $965,000. So our median went from $965,000 last year to $765,000 this year. It's a $200,000 decrease in the median price of sold properties in November, which that's pretty
You mean
significant.
increase, right?
No,
Oh, decrease.
no, it's 765 was the average in November of 2024.
Right.
It was 965 in November of 2023.
Oh, three. Okay. So
Yeah.
there you go. So because by that time it was already crazy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought that was pretty significant. So our average price has gone down. Our days on market was 73. Last year it was 94. So that's and again, our sample size is not near as big as Amber's, so it's easily skewed, right? But still 22, that's pretty good. So Waikoloa Village condos. So, Waikoloa Village is where we have a lot of people who, live and work here compared to the resort. So there were 26 active condos, and they range from 391 to 799, 898. Those are active right now, with the median at 477, and the average days on market right now is 94.
Whoa.
So we've got a lot of condos. If you're interested in a condo in Waikoloa Village, like Julie said, now is the time. 6 in Fairway Terrace, 5 in Ali Milani, 7 in Waikoloa Hills.
Oh, wow.
And then like dabbling around. One thing that's kind of cool is there's a 17th Fairway Villa. That's a condo regime, but it's like a standalone residential property. It's got like a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath with 2-car garage. It's gated. There's only 27 units in this condo regime. And it's pretty rare that they came on the market. And it seems like that one's a pretty good deal.
How much is it?
Oh, where is it? Hang on.
Like what? How much is it?
798.
798.
Yeah.
That's not bad. It's like having like a
I know.
little house.
Yeah. It's like getting a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath house with a 2-car garage in a gated neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's literally sitting on the golf course.
Wow. Okay.
So I think that's
so anybody out in YouTube land that is watching this, get a hold of Jana if you're looking for a cute house on a golf course in a nice environment. That's a good price for that 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Yeah.
It really is. It really is. I was kind of surprised about that one. So last month in November, Waikoloa Village condos, we had 3 that closed. Again, that's not a lot. The median price $449. Days on market was 12. So the one sold fast.
Yeah.
So, it's the same old thing we always talk about. If you price it right, it's going to sell. And your sale to original price was 100.5%. So actually a little bit above list.
Maybe they had a great view or something.
Well, I think the 3 that sold were priced right.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah. I just think that's what it was. Because
all 3 of them are priced right. That's great. That means the sellers are starting to wake up and say, okay, I want to get my house off the market. Let's make this, aggressively priced.
Listen to your realtor who spends many hours on CMAs.
There you go.
So next I have Monalani active residentials, and there are 6. Listen to this. The average days on market for the active listings in Monalani for residential is 355 days.
Wow.
Yes.
A long time. Is that the highest you've seen?
That that's just crazy. And they go from now keep in mind the range here that we're talking about for these 6 houses is 4.6 million to 32 million.
Whoa.
So, you expect to have a higher days on market the more expensive your house is typically. But that's kind of a lot. And let's see, sold last month, just 1 for 4.6, sold last year 0 in November. So that was an easy one to talk about. Monalani condos. So 35. I think we're seeing a lot of the resort condos that are listed right now, because like we've talked about every time for the last several meetings, the HOA fees have gone up because the insurance has gone up.
Mhm.
And so you've got 35. The lowest one is 1,195,000. The highest is 5,195,000. And I have to say, the one that is the 1,195,000, that looks like would be a pretty good deal to me. I don't know what's going on with that one. You'd have to see it. But the median price is 1,590,000. Active days on market 50. So, better. Sold this month or last month in November were 4 at a median price of 1,847,000, 142 days on market.
Wow, wow.
So
So,
those,
so even the wealthy people are taking it easy on buying real estate on the Big Island.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's just 4 in all of Montalani, and that's a lot of
yeah,
complexes,
yeah, yeah.
And
But going back to seasonality, do you think more people will come in as snowbirds and they'll stay in
oh
these
yes,
houses during the Christmas and they'll start
oh
thinking
yeah,
it's a good time to stay? Okay. Yeah.
that happens every year. It's like
Yeah.
they come in and they're like, you know what, I could buy this and rent it out for all the rest of the 50 weeks that I'm not here and have somebody else pay for my condo, and that's
Yeah,
just
that's
happens
exactly it.
all
Yeah.
the time.
Okay.
In fact, I would say, well, I don't know what percentage I would say, but it's a pretty significant percentage of all those condo complexes that are down in the resorts. And the sales to original price on those, 92.3%.
Mm.
Same thing. So we're seeing some price drops to get these things sold. So that's kind of amazing, because this time last year, the sales to original price was 100%. So they were
Ah,
selling at list this time
mm.
last year.
Right.
And now they're at 92%. That is significant.
Yeah.
And I think that that's probably going to be short term. I think that buyers are going to acclimate to the new market and start off, because you don't want to start off with your list price too high and have it just sit for a
Right.
long time,
Right.
right? Because that kind of begs buyers to,
Lowball you.
yeah, right. Right. So let's see. Waikoloa Resort, which is the one just south of Montalani. Active condos, there are 31. And the median is 1,200,000. And days on market the median is 100 days. And so let's see, what do we have here? We've got one that looks like a heck of a deal at Vistas. It's 2 million. It's been on the market 157 days, but it's a penthouse, 3-bedroom, 3.5 baths. And that one just seemed like a pretty good deal with that sunset ocean view. And we've got 3 at Hauʻoli, 10 still at Kohala. So
Wow.
just got a lot of inventory there.
Right. I wonder if something happened with their maybe they had an aggressive price increase to the HOA fees, right?
Yeah, it could
Because yeah, I
be.
was just talking to one of our buyers who's on the market, who's on the call today actually, that when the HOA fees go up and then the penciling of the investment doesn't seem to pencil so well, people start saying maybe this isn't the best thing I want on my portfolio, and to try and say goodbye to your piece of real estate. Well, you might not be the only person at that moment thinking the same thing. And then you end up competing with 8 other condos in your complex to try and get your house off the market. So for
Yeah.
buyers, if you see that kind of inventory, ask what's up to your realtor, and also maybe it's time to get those price corrections in. So
Well, and the other thing too with these complexes that are heavily purchased for investment properties and short-term vacation rentals, it's hard to show those, because you might have somebody that's booked it for 2 weeks and they check out at 11 and somebody else checks in at 4. So you've got, this small window of time to show, and they're cleaning it while you're showing it.
yeah, yeah,
Right. So those can be hard to sell, because 2 weeks, there's 14 days on your days on market that you can't even show
God,
it.
yeah, that's true. And I've sold vacation condos. You're right. And I remember
Right.
I couldn't get people in for 6 weeks. I'm like, oh, how am I going to show this house? So we had a bunch of sight unseen's trying to just say, it pencils. I don't care what the inside looks like. So
That's where it's really important to have a fantastic photographer. You know what I mean?
yeah, you better go off the photos. Yeah.
Right.
Interesting. And then what else we're doing? So do you want to jump down to Kona, or are you gonna?
Yeah, let's see. I was going to tell you real quick, Kohala Ranch, Kohala by the Sea, Kohala Waterfront, Kohala Kai. All of those neighborhoods together, only 2 active listings.
Okay.
So just no inventory up there. Okay, Kona Residential. We'll start with that one because it's
Okay.
humongous. 106 active listings in the Kona area,
Yeah,
and
right.
the median price is $1,725,000. So the lowest is 615, the highest is 25,500,000. Let's see, average days on market 76. And I looked for sales in that same area in November, and there were 22. And they range from 699 to 16 million.
16 million in North Kona?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
are these things being
That's
hidden?
Yeah, that's probably, Kukio or something.
Okay, so that takes all the way to Kukio. Okay.
Right, yeah. Median is 1,272,000. So out of those 22 houses, the median price, you've got that 16 million that's going to skew it. So I always do median instead of average on mine because
Yeah.
average can be pretty weird. Average days on market or median days on market 51, and the sales to original price is 95%. That's what happened in Kona in November.
Okay. So 90, that's not the worst.
Yeah,
Well,
5% sale, as
Yeah.
Julie said.
Yeah, 5% on sale.
In November of 2023, there were only 15 that sold, and they range from 499 to 35 million with a median of 1 million. 28 days on market, and they were 94.9. So,
okay.
yeah.
Again, maybe
Not-
seasonality.
Right.
Okay.
So the next one I pulled up that Delaney does is the Pu'alani Estates, and there is only one active listing there for $1,025,000, which that's nice. Sold in November of 2024, just one. Sold for $1,025,000, days on market 4, and it was listed at $1,001,000, so it's 93%.
Oh, wow.
And November 2023, only one in that month as well. Sold for $955,000, days on market 12, 93%. Li'ilani condos. So the ones right on Ali'i Drive, and those are very popular. I think you have to have 30 days
Yeah.
for short-term vacation rental.
30 days.
Yeah.
It's not short-term vacation rental. I mean, it's 30-day rental.
Okay. So right now there are 10 active listings, and they range from 397.8 to 599 with a median of 471.
Ooh.
Yeah, so 10, that's quite a lot. And sold in November 2024 were 3.
Yeah.
With the median price of 510.
Wow. Okay. So there's one in there for 3 something?
397.
That's the lowest I've seen that a price in that complex.
I know. I was really kind of surprised at that. And the median days on market for November last month was 4 days
Huh.
of the ones that sold. I mean, there
Yeah.
weren't a lot that sold. And the sales to original price was 99%. So that
Oh.
tells me that all these realtors in there have, that sold those places have it pretty dialed. Because if you're going to sell it in 4 days at 99%, then the realtors have that pretty dialed. Well, and it's like the realtor can have it dialed, but the buyer would like to, well, let's just put it up a little higher and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then it kind of sits there for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
November of 2023, just one sold. So, they're pretty busy. And okay, Lokahi. So right now, 0 active, 0 sold last month, and 0 sold in November of 2023.
Well, ours
So I
is
don't have much to
next
say on
week.
that. So I
That'll be
ran,
our listing in Lokahi Makai will be the one that closes, and it closes next week. So there,
Wahoo!
I got
Yeah.
got one out there. That's a really, it's a popular neighborhood, and
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see if people start seeing that the prices you know, are still, you know, like you said, people, I think the place is ripe to have people start to sell. So,
I pulled
looking
up
for
what
that.
it sold
Great.
so far in there this whole year. And there have been 9 that have sold in there from $8.99 to $13.85 with a median of $9.89. Days on market 7, 97.5%. So I had to look for some statistic on there to share because there's just not anything active.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
okay. And
Okay.
that's it. That's what I
That's
have.
it. Thanks, Jan. I totally appreciate that. You took a lion's share of the report, so for you, you get an extra seasonal cocktail.
All right.
Okay, so Eric's email list. What we got? What we got?
Well, so Jana covered a lot of North Hawaii there, so I don't have that much to talk about, but I can throw a couple more stats in there just to make it a little better.
Yeah, good. Also, did you remember the sales volume had gone
Yeah,
down?
that's what I was going to talk about right now.
Okay.
So the sales volume of this would be November is $48 million in sales for this is North Kona, right, residential. And last year, 2023 was 59. So it was a $10 million, over a $10 million drop, $11 million drop for that. So kind of interesting, 18% decrease in pricing from 23 to 24 for this month. Condominiums were this month sold $16 million worth of condominiums. And last year at this time, it was $8 million, $8.8 million. So that is a $7.5 million increase from last year. So they had an 85% jump. So just kind of interesting. Condos are, you know, definitely moving, whether they're just with so many on the market, even if they're at a little lower price. What else do I got going on here? We got the median price. We got the resident. That was the only stat that Janet didn't cover. So I just thought I'd add that of the things that I had for it. Good job, Janet, in terms of helping out. And
Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about what's going on with the mortgage rates. You guys might be aware that the Fed met and they actually did cut the Fed benchmark rate by 25 basis points, 0.25%. And so this, but as Travis, our mortgage person, says, this did absolutely nothing for the rates for mortgages. He said the more significant piece of news was that we saw on the Fed's so-called dot plot, which is a chart they release 4 times a year that shows the expected level of the Fed funds rate in the future for all Fed's members. What today's dot plot shows that the average Fed member expects that their rate will end 2025 about 0.5% higher than versus September predictions. So prices, the mortgage rates actually might go up instead of down, like we were all talking about all last year. What that means is they expect to slow the pace of cuts and perhaps cut rates only 2 times next year instead of the anticipated 4 times. The reason is they see the PCE inflation, that's the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, at 2.5% next year versus a 2.1% they predicted back in September. So we might be headed for some inflation if these tariffs continue to go on. Powell gave an overall more restrained tone regarding the Fed going forward, and this has been interpreted as a pause at the January meeting, so likely no cut next month. The result is that the average mortgage lender's rate on a 30-year fixed conventional loan moved up by about 0.2% like today, which was yesterday. And that for most people means a conventional 30-year fixed rate at or just above 7% now, where it had been floating in the low 6s over the last few months. It says, however, lowering the Fed funds rate will result in marginally lower short-term rates for consumers, revolving debt like credit cards and lines of credit, and shorter-term loans like personal loans and some auto loans. So not the happy-go-lucky experience I was hoping heading into 2025, but there you guys go. It seems like we're talking about some of these, you know, these housing prices that people were kind of, I think, maybe waiting a little bit to see what was going to happen. Well, now you know. So if you can afford what the market says at 7%, that's kind of basically is going to what you're going to have to be looking at. So there's that. And then, like I said, Travis will come back in January and do more of a deep dive if you guys want to hear more about what's going on. The Dow did fall on the news about what happened at the Fed. So it is affecting the stock market as well. I wanted to throw out you guys some questions that our viewer here has that is very interesting because these I think are questions that other people might have as well. And you guys can take these as you want. Okay, who wants to answer this one? You ready? What's the tax percent for short-term vacation rentals?
Oh, gosh, I should know that off the top of my head. Hang on. I'm
While
gonna look
she's
it up.
doing that, yeah, I think it's at the highest level of property taxes that they get you for, right? I think it's like
Mhm.
11 it's like 11 cents on every $1,000. I think that's what that is. So to Heather, the person who asked that question, yes, you do need to factor in the fact that the state of Hawaii gets investors and you pay for it in property taxes. And then you pay for it again when you sell your house and they get you for the HARPTA, which is a withholding fee at 7%. So, and we can talk, and then, we should do a whole video on, investors and coming in and coming out of the market. And then she also was hoping to learn more about what the occupancy rates are.
I can answer the occupancy rates.
Okay.
That would determine by how many bedrooms are in a condo and square footage. But in general, it's 2 people per bedroom and 2 people in a family room or something like that. The one family room, the main room for a condo. So, example, if it's a 2-bedroom condo, that would be 6 people.
I think that she
I
means
think
like good.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, I think what she means is like, if you looked at how many days out of the year you have an.
Oh, sorry, that's a different type of occupancy.
Yeah. And typically it varies by month. Now my expertise, of course, is the Kohala region where the resorts are. And it varies by month. So in December, you should be almost completely booked. November, December, through these holidays. If you don't have it completely booked, probably your price is too high, or your short-term vacation rental manager's not working very hard, or your marketing's not very good, because you should be pretty booked, almost 100% during the holiday. In April and September, not as much. It can be more like 70% in those months. Those are the shoulder months. And typically a good short-term vacation rental manager will drop the rates during those in real time, just to make sure, because you want somebody in there if you can.
Mm-hmm.
So we've talked to some short-term managers here particularly I was thinking on Ali'i Drive is the ones I'm thinking of. And if it's managed by a company and they're not giving any special love and it's just kind of in one of those programs, I think they were talking about somewhere between 65 and 70% year round for occupancy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's about right. So add that to your math when you're thinking about investment income. Also,
wait, hang on.
Oh,
sorry, I can add one more thing. But we do have a lot of people that rent them out themselves, and if they kind of push the rentals and kind of throw some things out there, they're able. I know a couple people that are in the 90 plus category of rentals, and they just turn that condo all the time, and it works for them. So it can be done as well. And the condo is the same as the one that rents 70% next door. So it just depends on how aggressively are you and good with your creative advertising.
Mm-hmm. There you go. She wanted to know what's the cost of property management. Now we know kind of what that is in Kona, but she's also asking property management in Hilo area. And Amber, do you know of a property management company and what that does?
So it's funny that you brought this up because I was just talking to somebody today about property management. Because I have like a very, very, very short list because I don't do property management.
Mm-hmm.
I know Eric and Julie don't because we can't.
Yeah,
with our
yeah.
contract that we have. There are like very few property, like I have like 2 names of people on the east side that I refer people to, and it can be kind of challenging. Just so you're aware. That there's just like limited options of property management over here. And I I do believe, I mean, they do take quite a cut too. So if you are going to be, especially an out of state owner, you really want to factor in and maybe crunch these numbers ahead of time, especially when you're looking at, what money costs right now. Okay, you're going to be paying a property manager, you're going to be paying, your property taxes from not, being a non-resident. All these little things like really, really do add up. That being said, like overall, we do have, a need for affordable housing in the state and in East Hawaii. But I will say I also do know a lot of people who are trying to get their properties over here long-term rented because really the price that they need is like pretty high still this is my take on the situation from what a lot of people can afford. So I do see a lot of people, just know what you're getting into. I do see sometimes some frustrated homeowners who thought it would be so easy to manage a property from out of state, and it can be a little bit frustrating.
Yeah.
And it cuts and cuts, and maybe you're giving 10% to property management, giving, all of these like eat away at your profits.
Yeah.
So in the Kohala area, I would say a pretty good estimate would be around 25%. And you can do it lower if you have less services. So if they're not doing the marketing, if they're not, if all they do is schedule the cleaners to come in, then, you can get it down to say 12.5%. Or I've seen them as high as 40%. And I would just like to say, please get 3 bids.
Mhm.
And I found because 40% is too high. So I went on the County of Hawaii website, and from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025, a homeowner's rate is $5.95 per $1,000 of assessed value. And if it is a short-term vacation rental, it is $11.55. So
11.55. Okay.
like almost twice as much there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's
Oh, and that was a great info too, because I just quoted what somebody had today was 10%. That would be on the way, way, way lower end. But also keep in mind, like sometimes if you get a lot of quotes, like if you go with the lowest one, that might not pay off in the end either. So
I agree.
right.
Because the really good ones are going to keep it rented for you.
Right.
right.
That's what you want.
Market it properly and know how to guide you with pricing and adjust pricing and all of that.
Yeah. And that's, I'm trying to, yeah, you're right. Yeah, the marketing is part of it. It's funny. I told her it's because you also want to make sure that they have access to a bunch of cleaners. Because the more money you pay, they usually have solid cleaning staff.
Right. And a handyman, because if your smoke alarm starts going off in the middle of the night, you got a really bad review all of a sudden, and you have to have somebody on island to come fix that. You just have to.
The rule says that they have to have somebody within 2 hours.
So
within 2 hours to come fix it.
Right.
that
And
adds
one
some
bad
value.
review can really affect your ability to get rentals. So you want to have a good property manager,
Yep.
and a good property manager is going to replace those batteries on a schedule so that never happens.
That's right, because they'll know that it's coming up. So okay, so there you go. So that's something to think about. And then how do you tell if the ground or area is good for building? Is raw land an option in building it? So we always, I don't know if you guys have been watching this for a while, we usually say building is harder than you think it is. It's more expensive usually than you think it is. And Amber's thought process of when it says what's good for building, Amber, wouldn't you say when there's cleared of vegetation?
If it's cleared of vegetation, so there's a lot of building that is new construction that's taking place in the market that I primarily work right now. And what a lot of the builders do is just come and like level the entire, like 1 acre parcel or lot. And they usually have to like bring in, cinder and level it. So I don't know exactly like what they're going for with this question, like what specifically they're asking, but
Well, I think she's looking if she was to try and look at raw land instead of trying to buy a single family home. She says raw land an option and then building. And so,
Yeah,
you can buy a
I mean,
piece of
there's a
land.
lot of it for sale. So
Mhm.
it is an option. There are some parts that people who just aren't as familiar, especially in East Hawaii, that there's some parts where you are not going to be able to get an on-grid property. So if you find like all these acres and acres, maybe in Mountain View, you sometimes we can, call Helco and see, and sometimes there's an SSPP charge, which is a like shared cost in subdivisions for like getting, the power lines and all of that in. So sometimes that can be a hidden fee with raw land, but sometimes they can't even bring power in. So that's just something to be aware of, depending on what area you're looking. But yeah, it definitely is, but it's not something that I like recommend for a novice or who kind of somebody maybe who has a mentality of it's going to be exactly the same building a house in Hawaii that it would be wherever you're coming from on the mainland.
No. And I would like to chime in too for us up here. You do have to look at lava zone, number one. You do have to look at lava zone, and you have to look at the different types of rocks because sometimes it's harder to clear, the basalts than it is the softer lava stone. And I think one of the hardest things here to build is permits are a nightmare. It's going to take a long time to get a permit. One of my buyers bought a lot up at Kohala Ranch, and it took 2 years to get a permit. And now it's taken like another 2 years to get that house built because we just don't have that many construction companies. So it's hard to get a construction company. It's hard to get a permit. We don't really have the problem with vegetation up here. So that's not an issue. And we still do, just like Amber said, sometimes if you have a big lot like up at Kohala Ranch, you do have to pay to get the utilities to the specific spot on the lot that you need them to go.
Right. And
It's
raw
not-
land. Okay.
You have to have a lot of patience. You have to have a lot of patience to build here.
And the cost can be quite high too. Since there's not so very many builders, there's sort of a top dollar rules kind of an attitude, which makes the building costs per foot is quite substantial.
Yep. That's not, what some people say is that if I can just get there, get some raw land and throw up a couple of, containers or a small home.
I hear that a lot.
Yeah, the old tiny home commune, it doesn't work here. They do not want a tiny home commune here. So they will seek you out. That is not part of the zoning code in any part of this whole island, is that they don't want you buying open land and putting a whole bunch of little houses on there, which seems like a great way to make affordable housing, but there you are.
They'll delay you for months and months if you pick a slightly different shade of white. I'm not even kidding.
I know. Okay, so she also is writing, is the market sustainable where it is, or is it going to drop?
Crystal ball. That's where it's at.
Well, I had a conversation with her about HOA fees, about how we all had that big jump on what happened when they basically reassessed the value of the properties, and then they, say, okay, this is what's going to cost to insure it. But there's no guarantees about climate change and about what, how many different insurance companies decide to go out of business because they can't handle the insurance claims. And what's that going to do? If we have less market, ability to have different insurance companies in the market, that might affect pricing. So we don't know.
I have a thought. I've been following condos a little bit. What is interesting is that because of those higher HOA fees, people can't. There's only a certain amount that people are willing to pay with the HOA fee added onto it. So therefore, theoretically, if the HOA fee went up, the cost of the condo needs to come down to kind of match that. And we're seeing a little of that, but I think we haven't hit an equilibrium yet on that because we're still getting some of these costs are just coming in here in January. So it might take another 6 months to a year to finally come out to where people are comfortable paying the price of the condo. So it looks like, I think it could go down. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of, cost reductions on condos that are out there. So something to think about. Yeah.
I mean, if a condo at Lalihi is going for under 400, something's going on. So yeah. And also
back to how hard it is though to build here. It's like there's the inventory is not ever going to, it's not going to increase dramatically soon.
Right.
On the big,
right. And demand still remains up. We
Mhm.
can't build a whole bunch of stuff all at the same time, so we're not going to have much for inventory, like ever. And that's why I'm thinking that it's I think it's a good bet to buy on
Mhm.
the island because I think that people still want to live in Hawaii, and the ones that don't leave, and then somebody else is right behind them, except maybe 80 days. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I mean, none of us like, obviously really know. I don't see like prices. I do
like
think we'll see
significant.
a little bit of an increase from a lot of stuff I'm reading from people next year, but it's kind of early to say. But what I will say, and I say this all the time about East Hawaii, is that, it all comes down to supply and demand in your market. So that might look a little different than the entire country. And I firmly believe that East Hawaii is the last frontier of affordable real estate in the state of Hawaii, and there will always be a demand for that.
Mhm.
So, supply and demand, I do think that means good things for your investment, if you're coming on the east side particularly.
Okay, there we go. So thank you guys for helping us answer those questions. I do think that those are the kinds of questions people are asking before they move here. So and if you guys want the she put great answers and lots of information. Thanks, Heather. That I created a book. It's called The Insider's Guide to Buying Real Estate on the Big Island of Hawaii. And it does talk about some of the nuances about buying here, like lava zones. And so we offer that as a free resource guide. If you guys join the Ohana by going 365 Hawaii Living, you can download that book and also my How to Move to Kona book. And so it just gives you a little bit more of like that basis of understanding what it's like to come here. And then you reach out to one of us and we can like give you like up to date, more, intense information about what's the currently happening. But lava zones are lava zones. And there's a variety of things to like consider moving to an island, especially if you're considering investing. And in this day and age, you know what? It just, I mean, Ali'i Drive still has a bunch of people who come out here for the holiday season, and people in Michigan hate their days in the cold weather, and they're still coming out here trying to stay in Kona. So I don't think that it's
Couldn't
it's a
blame 'em.
bad idea. So okay, so then with you guys in general, going through the rest of the holiday season, are you excited about January? Do you think people are like holding on? We're gonna get a good pump in January?
Yes, and I've
I'm
got
always excited about January.
yeah, January is, and I've got a couple of listings that are kind of hanging on because people don't want to list right now,
Hmm.
uh, right before Christmas because nobody's looking at a house right before Christmas. So I think that things are going to pick up a lot in the next month or so.
Yeah, good time to look for a home. And get your financing in place. I always tell people that sometimes when you find an opportunity and you wanted to grab it, you didn't grab it fast enough because you didn't have your financing in place. So make sure that you do hang out with your mortgage broker and get yourself pre-approved. And that way, if something comes on the market that really, like, it's like, wow, it's a steal, you're able to move on it. So, and then also, like you guys know, contact one of us. We're amazing. We also have Travis is a great local lender, and I'm going to drop his report in the notes below so you guys can read it. And we are going to be coming back at you guys the probably the second week in January because I know that my buddy Amber does not want to be giving a update on New Year's Day. So I'm hoping the Amber is going to be available probably around the 8th. And we'll see what's going on with the market around that time frame. And we'll do this again with the whole group around the 16th of January. And by that time, we will have a good idea of what's really going to happen. So thank you guys again for being part of today's call. And you guys all have a very happy holiday and Merry Christmas to all of your viewers who've been watching us. And they call and say things like, I've been watching every single episode that you guys put out. Good. We just educated. We also provide the value. So thanks you guys for joining. And you guys, ladies, gentlemen, I think you've done good making sure that people coming to the island has some good information. So thank you guys. And with that, we will say, see ya in 2025.
Mele Kalikimaka.